Paige Buckets and AZ Fudd, after both of them having knee injuries and all kinds of stuff, um, come back and play at a really high level and win a championship.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Throwdown Thursday edition, we wrap up completely the women's college basketball tournament. So in segment one, we'll talk about the best, worst, most exciting thing. In segment two, we'll dive into the House decision in terms of the women's programs. And in segment three, we're going to try to wrap up all of this, talk about the two region system, and see what improvements we can make, as well as set you up for the WNBA draft, which is coming up soon. With me today, our favorite administrator, Robert Abney. Robert, what was the best thing you saw for the women's tournament?
UConn. I mean, that was vintage UConn, probably not as good as the Brianna Stewart UConn teams, but better than they've been since. That was a really good. That was a really good team. They played well together. They spaced the floor. They hit shots. They defend. And they're going to be good again next year. We get a rematch next year. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. I got to give humble pie. A couple of years ago on the show, I said I didn't think UConn was going to be winning titles anymore. They were going to be good, but I didn't know if they could put that thing together anymore. And I was wrong. AZ, love her, love the family. She kicked tail. Paige finally got that championship. So now the conversation at UConn changes to, but you only got one, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, man. And then Gino, the crotchety old man, did it. They beat two good teams. They beat 2-1s to win a national championship. Hats off to them. So congratulations to UConn. Robert, what's the worst thing you saw?
I think just the fact that all three games in the women's Final Four were blowouts, and I mean that's with all the momentum they've had the past couple of years, that's not a good thing for women's college basketball. Um, the level of play is higher than it's ever been before, even after Caitlin Clark, but I was really shocked that none of those games were close. I mean, the closest,
The outcome was not in jeopardy.
yeah, the closest game was South Carolina, Texas, and even that, I mean, South Carolina was in control pretty much the whole way, and so everybody else is going to have to figure that out. How do you close that gap back up?
Yeah, that I'm sorry it's the worst thing, but we said all year that the women's game was top heavy, and there was no debate in terms of who's gonna be at the end. Even with Juju, we had UConn winning, but
Mm-hmm.
man, there was no the Goldberg match in WCW is no doubt about the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the worst thing. Was just I left at halftime in part because the outcome was decided. So all right, what's the most exciting thing you saw though, Robert, for the NCAA women's tournament?
Um, Paige Buckets and AZ Fudd, after both of them having knee injuries and all kinds of stuff, um, come back and play at a really high level and win a championship. And
Yeah.
I mean, Paige Buckets is going to be, if she's not the number one pick in the WNBA draft, I don't know who is. It would be foolish.
She's coming to Dallas. She's coming to you.
It would be foolish to take anybody else in my opinion. AZ Fudd decided she's going to stay for another year. I think that's year 8 or 9. I don't know. But I mean, hey, you've got the eligibility. Run it back. They've got Sarah Strong coming back. big post girl. She played really well the entire. She set a freshman record for scoring in an NCAA tournament. I can't remember the number, but she played really well the whole tournament. And I mean, Gino's always going to have. He's always going to have players. So good on Paige Buckets and AZ Fudd.
Yeah, I was really surprised in a pleasant way by the fans. They packed that place in Tampa. They were all over the place, not a lot of empty seats, and the excitement was there. And that's the issue. We've got to maintain that excitement to go beyond Caitlin Clark and Paige Buckets, and Juju's not going to play next year. So we've got to find a way to keep that energy going. So, that was good, though, to see the people there. So in segment 2, house is not a home, and the women's game is going to have some challenges, and we have to talk about it out loud, folks. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here, and for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond, and that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2, what the House decision may mean for women's basketball. So this comes out on Thursday, and by that time, the Judge Wilkin will have mentioned whatever she's going to advise folks to do. But the time to start talking about the women's impact is now. So take a school like Louisville. They're trying to be a football school. They're trying to get the men's basketball program back up and running. And who's the one that's going to get dinged? Women's program. Take Duke. Duke has a machine in men's basketball. They're trying to get Manny Diaz a little pump, a little something. Kara Lawson, successful coach. And now, what are we going to do? And South Carolina, same problem. You're trying to be something in football. You got the best women's basketball program in the country, but money's an issue. You're trying to do something with men's basketball, and you got a great baseball team that you had. So Robert, with all of this going on, what are you thinking about the House decision and the women's game?
Well, that pot of money gets real small real fast, right? What is it? $20.5 million that they're dispersing, and Big Ten, SEC, most of that, 3/4 is going to go to football. So then you've got to split out some for men's and women's basketball, and you've got everybody else left over in the SEC. That's kind of a big deal because SEC baseball and softball both are huge. Now that Oklahoma's in the SEC, you've got, they've won, 4 College World Series in a row. And the men the college baseball World Series. They won 5 in a row, I believe. And so you've got a lot of decisions to make, and we haven't even talked about Title IX yet. We haven't even talked about that. And I haven't heard anybody talk about that, because I don't think anybody. I kind of get the feeling that people are taking the approach. Well, let's see if we can actually get a settlement first, and then we'll worry about that. So there are going to be a lot of challenges, and when you're out of university that that is not a Big Ten or an SEC school, that number, that 20.5 million, gets smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets even harder if you don't already have good programs. How are you going to spend those resources to try and build the programs you have? It's just another one on top of the roster changes with the portal. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a difficult time to be an athletic administrator, because you've got to figure out what all of this means and how you are going to manage this. And you need to remember, if you want to keep, if you're in leadership, if you want to keep people happy, sell ice cream.
Well,
There are going to be a lot of unhappy head coaches, because they're going to feel like they're not getting the piece that they think they should get.
yes, and a lot of tough decisions to make, because the WNBA is in the final year of its CBA. And this complicates women's basketball even more, because you've got women coming back to college, in part because I can make double, triple, quadruple what I can make in the WNBA. Next season, the minimum salary of a WNBA player is $66,079, and the max is only about $250K. The expected salary increase in 2026 is why every single WNBA player who is not on a rookie contract is going to be a free agent next year. And they don't have a CBA yet. So with that information, Robert, what are you thinking about that too?
Every single person who's not on a rookie contract is going to be a free
Yeah.
agent.
Yeah, and you ain't got but now 16 teams. So that's not crazy. That's not,
Well, and what you're going to have is, maybe you have, a LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh situation like they had in Miami. Maybe you have, maybe you
well,
have,
the Aces already had the super team. New York has the super team now.
maybe,
Even though I hate the term super team,
I
because
mean,
go get them.
who's next? Maybe Indiana decides, hey, we've got Caitlin Clark on a contract. Let's go get us Asia Wilson. Let's go get us, let's go get us Kelsey Plum. Let's go get us somebody. I mean, that's crazy. That is crazy. I don't know what that's going to look like at all.
All right. So fans, when we get back in segment 3, yeah, we got to talk about the portal too. That's coming up. A lot going on. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Keith Adams, and for years, I've witnessed the struggles student athletes face on how to truly balance the demands of academics and athletics. It's a question that I have dedicated my life to answering. That's why I wrote Finding the Balance, my personal journey to academic and athletic success. It's more than just a book. It is my personal journey, and it is filled with hard-earned lessons from decades as a coach, educator, and now president of the CKA SAFE Project. Inside, you will find practical advice, real-life stories, and a clear roadmap to help student athletes, coaches, and parents navigate the complex world of balancing sports and education. And now I am thrilled to bring this message to a wider audience as a proud member of the Cascade Sports Network. We're partnering to amplify these crucial conversations about student athlete success. I believe every student athlete deserves the opportunity to reach their full potential, both on and off the court and the field. You can purchase your copy directly from our website at www.casafeproject.org. Join me and the Cascade Sports Network as we work together to help every student athlete succeed.
Welcome back to the Coaches Podcast in segment 3. Want to give some commentary on the two-region system. So NCAA President Charlie Baker said at the Final Four that it isn't feasible to make a change to the two regional system, a format that has drawn criticism from UConn coach Gino Auriemma, old, and Texas counterpart Vic Schaefer, older, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So Charlie Baker said that, hey, Don Staley's good with it, and several other coaches who are younger are good with it. So let me tell you a little bit about this to kind of give you an idea of where the anger is coming from. The women's tournament used to have 4 regionals like the men until 2023 when the NCAA switched to the current 2-region system. The decision was made before the inequities between the men's and women's tournaments were exposed during the bubble season of 2021. The regional sites have already been awarded through 2028, and Auriemma said the regional change has ruined the game because you really have 8 teams in a region. So it's kind of cheaper to have 8 teams at 2 sites than 4 teams at 4 sites. So while yeah, not everybody can kind of get there. Gino's going to be gone in about 5 years, and Vic's going to be gone about 5 years, and Dawn's got another 20 years, and she's good with it along with many of her counterparts. So, Robert, what do you think about the 2-region system?
About the same. I mean, they did it to provide a better experience for the players. And they do that. I think the attendance is better. I think it's a better environment. All of those things. I think it's a better setup than what they were previously doing, because remember, a lot of times those regionals, I mean, up until a few years ago, the regional sites were still at top seeds. Remember? So,
Yes.
and so the attendance is, I think that the attendance is better. I think it's a better environment. I agree that it does create some difficulties.
Yeah, getting gym time, floor time is a problem when it's
It,
8 teams trying to get on the court. You're
it
going to have
does
a 7:30 practice.
it does create some difficulty for travel. It does create some logistical challenges. But I think that at the time they made the decision, it was better for the women's game. When they get to 2028, maybe they change that, but for now, I mean, it's not going anywhere. So schools at best, you'd best just say, okay, it is what it is. Let's figure out how we're going to adapt, overcome, and improvise to work our way through it.
Yeah. All right. Transfer portal. Charlie Baker said the feedback from the NCAA that they received from student athletes was that delaying the opening of the portal any longer, such as until the end of the men's and women's tournament was over, as Gino Auriemma and others have suggested, could cause problems for students getting enrolled in summer school and other issues moving to a new institution. Because wait for it, fans, the academic calendar and the athletic calendar are not in sync in terms of the transfer portal. So the transfer portal this year started a week later than it did last year. By starting it when it started, 91% of the teams were done playing. But Charlie Baker said there's no question it creates a lot of traffic, and I'm sure it's one of the things that the basketball committees will talk about. Robert, your thoughts on the portal in terms of timing for the men's and women's tournament for folks to get into the portal?
The portal shouldn't open until after the tournaments are over, period.
But what about summer school?
I know that if students want to transfer and enroll in summer school, that the vast majority of these schools that are doing the acquiring in the transfer portal have resources in place to help those students that they sign get squared away and get into summer school or do whatever it is they need to do to be able to be enrolled and get going. I think that that's a statement that kids are making because they don't understand the process. And the other thing is that if the portal process changed, you're going to tell me that the coaches can't figure out a way to work with their admissions offices to get students enrolled in a hurry? If that's what needs to happen, I don't buy that. I think that's not a good excuse. It shouldn't open until the season is over until both tournaments are over. The Tuesday after the men's final, portal opens.
Yeah. So I'm still flabbergasted. I know I shouldn't be, that the calendars are not aligned with football, with basketball, with whatever sports, because I do scheduling. It's not the most exciting thing, but if the NFL can create a schedule with all of the variables they have, I kind of think we can tie in, a portal piece in terms of when the portal's opening. One of the things I'm also, begging is that they tie some type of academic component in terms of meeting measurable progress. Are you academically eligible after taking a full set of classes, which the minimum of that is 12 credits, unless you're a grad school student, and then that's 9 credits. That's simple.
And
Nothing complicated.
here's what we don't hear anybody saying. You have these guys entering the portal. Aren't you enrolled in classes right now? Shouldn't you complete those classes in which you are currently enrolled before you worry about going to your new school?
Yeah. So this week, I'll be able to sit in at the Allen Sachs Symposium on the campus of Howard University. The Drake Group is sponsoring it, and a lot of these conversations will take place, especially after the Wilkin decision coming up this week. So that ought to be fun. And next week, on our regular time, we run back to our regular schedule. We'll do our WNBA draft preview, and that's another thing. That's a quick turnaround, Robert. And I always over worry about injury. I'm conservative as it is with injuries with players. My guys will tell you that. So, man, we gotta work on that. But any last thoughts before we wrap up, sir? Great tournament.
No, it was a great tournament. A lot of high level basketball.
Yeah.
You know that tomorrow we'll already have. Here's who's going to be number one next year. Now, how anybody knows that since the portal hasn't, since we still got stuff going on in the portal, whatever. But yeah, it was a great tournament, great women's season.
All right. Shout out to UConn. Yes, I was wrong. No problem with that. So on behalf of our favorite administrator, Robert Abney, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.cksaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.